Did you know the episode Haute Camp-Ture was not supposed to take place in Playa de Losers? Instead, it was originally going to be a dramatic episode where Owen was in multiple alliances, a fashion challenge where Duncan dressed up in high heels, Chef walking around half naked, and of course Gwen voting out one of her closest friends. I'm Dawnsbubble, and today I'm going to talk about Total Drama Island's scrapped episode, and my version of it. So, where do we start? Well, episode 22 of Total Drama Island, known as Haute Camp-Ture, is a special episode that takes place in Playa del Loser, and we get a glimpse of how they are all doing now that they have been eliminated. However, this was not the original plot for this episode. It was completely different. There are multiple sources that this is true. For example, first of all, the title is based on Haute Couture, which means the creation of exclusive custom-fitted high-end fashion design, according to Wikipedia. Also, from the Total Drama Island Totally Interactive game, gives a challenge description that is about a modeling challenge. And here is an old episode description about the original plot from an old TV guide. Each camper is getting their minutes of fame, or make that 5 minutes of shame, when they compete in the Total Drama Modeling Challenge. Dressed in heels and wigs and forced to strut their stuff, they will be judged on their walking, talking, and hawking as they participate in the photo shoot. Owen scores big points with the judges, but loses big-time friendships when he gets caught in multi-alliances. If the campers' humiliation weren't tested to the limits, their courage will be when they are told they must do their final catwalk performance on a tiny runway over a pit of crocodiles. In the end, one camper reigns supreme when they fall into the croc pits and face off with the hungry beasts. This is confirmed by Todd Kaufman, who is a director for the Total Drama series. He states that he found the old script, and it was totally true. He wished they stuck to the original script, but sadly, they couldn't do it. Perhaps it was too many costume changes. And everyone who thinks it's because Leshawna's voice actor could not record, that is not true. It's just a stupid theory. Because if a voice actor is sick or something, they can just record them later. He also states that Leshawna was originally going to win immunity in this episode, but she gave her immunity to Gwen, thinking she would vote out Heather. But in a turn of events, Heather convinced Gwen to vote Leshawna instead, with the reasoning, those who give away their immunity deserve to go home. This would be so much better and add so much drama, but would Gwen really do that? Listen to Heather and vote out Leshawna, that sounds kinda out of character, so it would be complicated. We also have a few storyboards of this episode which were made by Arne Selznick, who has made multiple storyboards for the original season. But here we can see that Duncan did not like this challenge, which makes sense. Chef then scares him. Duncan puts on a little heel. We then get to see the chef demonstrating the challenge, and let's just say he is serving something at least. Go, chef, I guess. So with all those materials, we can kinda get a glimpse on how this episode would play out. So here is a quick version I made of this episode. If you want a full and more detailed remake of this episode, I can maybe do that if the demand is high, so comment below if you are interested in that. So here's my version of the original plot of Haute Camp-Ture. So the episode starts with Leshawna and Gwen in the cabins. Gwen talks about how it sucks that Jeff had to leave the previous episode. Leshawna cannot believe that Heather is still in the game. She has been vulnerable for 3 episodes in a row now. Why is no one voting her out? Gwen says that Leshawna has a point, so they agree that they need to commit to voting out Heather, no matter what if she does not win immunity. But they stumble onto a problem. They are only 2 votes, and they need at least 3 votes to secure that Heather goes home. They don't want to team up with Duncan because he is a wild card. Obviously, they can't team up with Heather, so that leaves Owen. Owen joins the chat and agrees that he will vote out Heather if she loses the challenge. After Owen walks out, Duncan grabs him and asks what they were talking about. Owen says he made a deal with Leshawna and Gwen. Duncan is not happy and reminds him of the guys' alliance, which they need to commit to, and Owen agrees that he is staying loyal to the guys' alliance. In a confessional, Owen is confused. He is not strategic and just does what people say. He does not know whom to stay loyal to. Heather sees that Leshawna and Gwen are working together, and Duncan and Owen are close, so she has no one. In a confessional, she mentions that she needed to keep Lindsay for longer, but now has to go out of her way to get quote-unquote allies. So she goes to Owen and bribes him with cake, but only if he does what she wants. This works on Owen because she has bribed him before with the Justin vote, so why wouldn't it work now? So what's happening now is that Owen is basically a part of every alliance left on the island. It's challenge time, and everyone heads to the stage. Chris reveals that it's a modeling challenge, and it was Chef's idea. Chef said that this is a personal challenge and everyone should take this seriously. The rules are that everyone gets 5 minutes to design an outfit, wear it, and walk down the catwalk. Leshawna loves the idea and thinks that she is gonna win immunity for sure in this episode. Meanwhile, Duncan hates it. He is not gonna do this. Putting on makeup and a dress and walking in high heels is not for him. Chef is not having it with his attitude, calling him disrespectful, and basically gets mad at him after all this challenge was his idea. Duncan gets a little bit scared and puts on a heel. In a confessional, he says that he only did it because he had to. At the stage, Chef demonstrates how they need to walk on the catwalk. They need to be themselves and be comfortable, and it should look natural if they want to score high points. He walks down the catwalk and everyone is gagged, like literally. The 5 minutes start, and they are all struggling to create an outfit. Gwen is frustrated, but Leshawna helps her, and Heather makes a snarky comment about how no amount of makeup can cover that ugly face. Gwen gets mad, but Leshawna reassures her that Heather is going home if she loses, so that's why they need to win immunity. Duncan is kinda struggling and asks Owen for help. He helps him, but then Heather asks for help too. So basically everyone is calling for help from Owen because he is in all of these alliances. The 5 minutes have passed and it's time for the catwalk. Gwen is up first and she kind of flops and scores super low. It's Duncan's turn and he also flops at first, but Chef tells him to be himself and Duncan suddenly slays and struts down that catwalk. He scores high points, which is shocking, but everyone laughs at him because he slayed. He gets embarrassed and asks them if they can delete the footage. It's Leshawna's turn and she does super well, scores big points, and takes the lead. Now it's Owen's turn, and before he goes up, he asks Leshawna for advice. She tells him to be himself, and he is off the stage and scores pretty well with the judges. Heather is the final model to walk. She starts up well, but gets distracted by Leshawna's comments and falls down. In the end, the top 3 contestants move on to round 2, which in this case is Leshawna, Owen, and, surprisingly, Duncan. Gwen is happy even if she did not make it, because this means that Heather lost and will go home. Heather is scared as hell, so she asks Owen to sabotage Leshawna no matter what happens, and he agrees because she has more cake to give him. Duncan is embarrassed he made it to the next round and still wants the footage to be deleted. So, at the next round, they have to walk on a small catwalk over a crocodile pit. They need to do it without it looking like they are struggling. The more comfortable they look, the higher points they receive, and bonus points if they manage to impress Chris. So, Heather is just scared, as she is probably going home. Meanwhile, Gwen is rooting for Leshawna. Duncan wants to throw the challenge, but Chef gets mad at him every time he tries to, so he does his best. So they start. Leshawna and Owen are talking about their deal, and Owen is still in it. Duncan is still suspicious about this, and asks what they are talking about. And Owen is stupid, and just says that he has a deal with Leshawna and Gwen. Everyone is shocked, and Leshawna gets mad at him. He also exposes his alliance with Heather and Duncan. Duncan gets mad at him and chases him down on the catwalk. Owen is scared and is running down the catwalk. He earns high points because he can run on a small catwalk with high heels, which is very hard, so he takes the lead. Duncan is mad and takes off his heels and chases Owen. As he is chasing him, he trips Leshawna and she falls down in the crocodile pit. But in the end, Duncan tackles Owen and misses, but falls down to the ground. Owen makes it to the other side and thinks he won. Duncan took off his high heels, he got disqualified, and Leshawna fell down. But Chris says otherwise, and that Leshawna won immunity instead. Owen running the catwalk with the heels was impressive, but Leshawna impressed him more as she was fighting the crocodiles and used the high heels as a weapon. Chris says that these photos are going to look amazing. Leshawna is relieved as she beats up the crocodiles and is happy she won immunity. Leshawna and Gwen are happy, as it seems that Heather is gone. But before the elimination ceremony, Heather goes to the boys' cabin and asks where their votes are. Duncan is still mad at Owen, so he is going to vote for him. Owen is scared of Duncan, so he is going to vote him off. As she walks out, she notices Leshawna, she smirks, and says that Gwen will be seeing the boat of losers tonight. This scares Leshawna, and she is panicked. Heather thinks of a really good plan. The boys are stupid and would vote each other, so with her new plan, she goes to Gwen. Heather explains that someone who gives away their immunity is dumb, and Gwen agrees. Heather asks if she would vote out someone who gave their immunity away, and Gwen says probably because why not? She then gets suspicious on why Heather is talking about this, but Heather is just silent and smiles. At the elimination ceremony, after hearing what Heather said to Leshawna, she panics and announces that she will give immunity to Gwen instead. Gwen is confused, and Leshawna tells her that she feels safer that Gwen is now immune. She is confident that Duncan would not vote her out because of last episode. Gwen is confused but accepts, but she is kinda uncomfortable with it. Before the voting, Chris allows a last discussion. Heather grabs Gwen and talks about what they said earlier. They are in a long discussion which Leshawna finds suspicious. Leshawna goes over to Gwen and asks if she is going to vote out Heather, but before she can answer, Chris says that the time is up and it's time to vote. We get a heartbroken confessional of Gwen voting out Leshawna. So it's marshmallow time, and Gwen gets the first marshmallow, then Duncan and Owen, so the bottom two are Heather and Leshawna. Leshawna is smiling because she is pretty confident she is staying, but in a shocking moment, Heather receives the final marshmallow. Everyone is gagged that Leshawna is going home. Chris revealed the votes. Duncan and Owen got 1 vote as they voted for each other. Heather got a vote from Leshawna, and Leshawna got 2 votes, one from Heather and the other from Gwen. Leshawna is at first mad at Gwen, but Gwen tries to explain herself and regrets her vote. Leshawna calms down and says it's okay. As long as Heather doesn't win, she is fine. She admits it was stupid to give Gwen immunity and that Heather just tricked them again. Gwen promises that Heather will not make it to the final. They hug, and Leshawna is gone. Heather waves at Leshawna, but before she leaves, she throws a heel on Heather, and Gwen says that is karma. Leshawna then leaves on the boat of losers and heads to the Playa de Losers. So that was my quick version of the scrapped version of Haute Camp-Ture. I prefer that this was going to be a normal episode. In my opinion, they could make the Playa del Losers episode instead of the Castaway episode, and make the Playa del Loser just focus on the losers and be a non-elimination episode. But that's what I think. What do you think? Do you want me to do a longer and cleaner version of this episode? Comment below. Also, comment on how you would write this episode with the original plot. Who would get eliminated, and how you would make Leshawna go home. Do you prefer this version or the original one? Comment down below as well. So that's the end of this video. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want more of this kind of content. Thanks for watching, and see you all later. Bye!